Привет всем! So let's talk about phase verbs, or beginning and finishing an action. There are lots of phase verbs, but the ones that we're going to focus on now are to begin and to end. Kind of important ones. So, here we go. First, to begin, начинать, начать, and to end, заканчивать, закончить. So you can see each verb has a perfective and an imperfective pair, just like all the other verbs that we've been learning so far. And for the most part, these verbs, in terms of perfective and imperfective, also function the same as the other verbs that we've been dealing with a slight exception. So we've said that for imperfective, начинать and заканчивать, there's a focus on duration. But if you think about starting and ending something, I mean, it's not really possible to focus on the duration. You start it and, it's started. There's no process involved. So for me personally, when I'm thinking about when to use the imperfective and the imperfective of these guys, I like to think of it in terms of something that you start or end over and over again versus something that you start or end just once. It's a completed one-time action versus something that happens maybe every day, maybe once a month, something that repeats. So, for example, каждый день я начинала читать в 10 часов и заканчивала читать в 11 часов. So here we've got our little giveaway phrase, каждый, every day. I start reading at 10 and I finish reading at 11 o'clock. So something that's habitual, that happens on a regular basis. Then if we compare that with our perfective sentence. Сегодня я опоздала и начала читать в 11 часов и закончила читать в 12 часов. So we've already said that usually, on a regular basis, we start at 10, I start reading at 10 and I finish reading at 11. But today, I was late. So this one time, I started at 12 and I ended at noon. I started at 11 and ended at noon. So you can see the difference between something that happens regularly, I'm starting this action every day, or I don't know, every week or something, versus just a single specific action. In talking about the meaning of these verbs, it might be a way to help illustrate the meaning of perfective verbs in general. So the verb to end is very similar to a perfective verb. So for example, let's compare the meaning of these two sentences. Мы написали статью. Мы закончили писать статью. How would you translate these into English? You can actually translate them the same as we finished writing an article. So you can see that the meaning of a perfective verb is to finish some sort of action. Now, there's one nice thing about these four verbs. So it's true that you have to remember between the differences between the perfective and imperfective of these guys. But we've already seen that whatever comes after it will be another verb. So, я начинала читать, писать, говорить, whatever. And whatever verb comes after it is going to be in the infinitive. So only this phase verb will conjugate. So the second verb is in the infinitive and is always perfective. So you might have to choose between perfective and imperfective in terms of which starting or ending. But whatever the action is that you are doing, so reading, writing, whatever, that verb you'll always choose the imperfective, not the perfective. So let's look at our examples again. So here's our perfective example. Today I was late and I started to read. Начала. Начала is perfective. But what comes right after it? Читать. Not прочитать. Читать, imperfective. And закончила, читать. Same deal, imperfective verb. And with начинать, я начинала читать, not прочитать. И заканчивала читать, not прочитать. So whatever comes after начинать, начать, or заканчивать, закончить, will always be an imperfective verb. Now, a quick note on pronunciation. I don't know if you've noticed, but the way I've been pronouncing я начала doesn't exactly match with the way that it's spelled. The way that it's spelled, it looks like it should be pronounced начала. But remember, vowel reduction. So here's kind of a weird reduction rule that we've seen. After ch, a reduces to sound like an e. Very different from English. So let's look at how these are spelled versus how they're pronounced. So we've got the masculine form, начал. It's kind of pronounced, the second A is kind of pronounced like an E, начал. because it's reduced. In the feminine, the stress moves to the end. Начала. 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 In the plural, the stress is back on the first syllable, начали. But we spell it with an A, but we still pronounce the second A like an E. Начали, because it's not stressed. So just a small pronunciation note. You still have to know how to spell it for tests and stuff, but in terms of talking, начал, начала, начали. And those are your first phrase verbs.